So, before I get into the big news, I have a funny little story to tell you guys. The other day, I finally managed to get my grubby little hamster hands on my very own copy of the leaked Kiriko animated short. I was analyzing it, writing some notes, and I was definitely going to have, a new video for you guys, today, about all the particulars of all the things that she does in the animated short and how I figured that would translate into her abilities. But then, I woke up this morning, and this was waiting for me on Twitter. Man, if they just waited one more day. Just one more day. There were a couple of things that I was gonna say that I'll make note of that, would have been right. That's okay, because I could still make a video, which is the video you're seeing now, where I'm gonna talk about what was revealed. I'm gonna cram some nuggets of speculation in there where I still can. And I'm gonna talk about something that is kind of a personal bit of excitement for me that I haven't really seen anyone else bring up yet. So anyway, we'll start with what I'm assuming is her primary fire, and that's the kunai, which is described as a thrown projectile that deals increased critical damage. I mean, this is pretty straightforward. She throws kunai, they do damage, but the wording here is a little interesting. Increased critical damage. There's two different things that could possibly mean. Either it's indicating that this weapon is going to do a higher critical hit multiplier than all other weapons that have come before it. For example, it's the first weapon that does ×3 multiplier if you get a critical hit. The other thing that this could mean is that the critical multiplier increases if you get consecutive successful hits. It goes from being whatever starting number blah blah to a maximum potential of ×3 or ×4 or whatever. And if you miss, it resets or whatever. Or decreases, you miss and it resets, or you miss and it goes down a step. So yeah, it's either this is just gonna have a higher multiplier than usual, or you have to earn your higher multiplier. Either one works, although, the latter would be kind of more interesting, I think. Okay, let's move on. Healing ofuda. Channel a burst of healing talismans that can seek targeted allies. I'm assuming this is her secondary fire, but maybe I have the kunai and the healing ofuda mixed up. Maybe the healing is her primary and the kunai are her secondary, who knows? It could be either or, but these are gonna be her main two things. We do see this in a way in the animated short. We see her place a talisman physically on this old grandpa guy that got shot. And I did figure, despite the fact that she's placing it on him by hand, I figured this would be a projectile because that would just make more sense. Yeah, a melee healing ability is a bit of a hard sell. I figured, yeah, this would be something it'd be a talisman that she would throw. But it's not just a talisman, she throws a swirl of talismans at people and it looks pretty cool. And the wall climb. She's got a wall climb passive. There's not really much to say about it. We already have that, so we know how that goes. Swift step, I really wanna talk about this. Teleport directly to an ally, even through walls. This would have been something I would have gotten right, because after watching the animated short, it just kind of looks like a wispy teleporting kind of ability in the same vein that Moira has right now. And I was like, no, they cannot just be giving her Moira's Fade. There's gotta be more to it than that. And then I speculated that there's probably some kind of catch to it. There's some kind of quirk that makes it different. Say, for example, if it specifically only works when you're locked onto an ally and you go to them. You go, somewhere in their space. And yeah, that sure is the case. Now, going through the walls, I think that's an interesting touch because it also keeps it different from Mercy's Guardian Angel. I suspect that the cooldown is going to be longer than Guardian Angel. That's going to be the cost. It's better than what Mercy and Moira can do, but you just can't do it as often. Protection Suzu. Upon impact, allies in the area become briefly invulnerable and are cleansed of most negative effects. This one was a surprise. This was not, as far as I can remember, not represented really in the animated short. It's an anti-CC move. That's really what you need to know. That's the main thing. That's what it's intended to be. It is an anti-crowd control, anti-burst damage. This is the kind of ability that people have been asking for a while. Some other version of Zarya's bubble on another character, particularly a support hero. I would assume that her cooldown on that move is going to be longer than average. And now for the ultimate, Kitsune Rush. Summon a fox spirit that rushes forward, accelerating the movement, attack speed, and cooldowns of allies that follow in its path. Oh man, this one really hurts. This is something that I would have been right about twice over had I gotten my speculation video out before this was revealed, because the way that they built up this move, the dramatic build up to it, this like, oh my god, here comes, she's gonna do this scary, powerful thing. And that dramatic build-up, that emphasis on it, definitely told me that, like, okay, this is probably her ultimate, isn't it? And the way that it affected the old man and the little girl, the stand-in for her allies, not only do they move faster, but they also get, like, really aggressive. So I was like, I wonder if that means it's gonna do more than just speed boost, because we already kind of figured that there was gonna be a speed boost involved, because they already teased this ability in the Overwatch 2 release date announcement trailer. We could tell that it was some kind of speed boost and not much else, but this animated short had me thinking that this was going to maybe possibly also do some kind of attack boost, whether it's like, you know, like more damage or something like that. And in essence, that is what this does. Man, that's rough. Be nice. Be nice to have that on record. So yeah, those are her abilities, and they're pretty neat. But there's one more thing. There's one more very personally exciting thing that I want to make note of. It's good news for me and my hero speculating career, hobby. I don't make any money off of this. And that is the fact that Kiriko is 100% unquestionably the return of Omniblade. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'll explain. Omniblade is this old concept character that the devs have mentioned before, and they brought her up as an example of how different heroes can be during their ideation process and how they end up. They were like, yeah, so we were working on this character named Omniblade, and out of her, we ended up getting Sombra, which was really interesting because as far as backstory and main ability goes, Omniblade and Sombra really couldn't be more different. Omniblade, get ready for this, she's a Japanese woman with throwing knives as her main ability. And as we know, Sombra is not that. How I always took it to mean was that as they were working on Omniblade's like physical appearance, her outfit, that they went more and more cybergoth with her look, and somebody looked at that cybergoth style and was like, you know, this would really look good on a hacker character. Bada bing, bada boom, they eventually get Sombra out of that line of thought. Because the creative process do be like that sometimes. What clearly happened here was that they revisited Omniblade. They took another look at her and they were like, we could still get a whole other character out of this. And now we have Kiriko. She even almost has the same hairstyle. I mean, her hair is like green now instead of blue. Yeah, no, She's gotta be, which is great news for me. A lot of my upcoming hero concepts are concept art characters. Seeing this happen is very reassuring that any of the characters that I'm talking about absolutely could either come into the game similar to how they were initially thought of, or different, but they still have their roots in the concept art that inspired them. An example that I'll go ahead and give you as just a little bit of a sneak peek of a future hero concept is the Watcher. They've never said that they got Moira out of this idea, but it's certainly not beyond the realm of possibility. And if that's true, you know, you might think that, you know, that's the end of that, right? But I look at the Watcher and I see a whole other character that you could easily pull out of that. And if anyone wants to get cheeky and think that I'm grasping at straws by speculating about the Watcher, well, Kiriko exists. I rest my case.